once on one of our TikTok things.
You did?
It was just me saying, I'm gonna, I was sitting here, I had my bathing suit on, and I said, I'm gonna clean my underwater window. And I have a spatula. I'm gonna swim under the boat and scrape off the underwater window. And then my girlfriend went inside and she filmed it and then posted it on TikTok. We got 1.5 million views immediately, and now it went to over 3 million. And so I designed and built this boat when I was 24 years old as the ultimate long distance heavy weather sailboat. In the years before that, I sailed the smallest boat twice across the Atlantic Ocean over 3 years, and up the Amazon River for a year. No motor, no radio, no electricity, no life raft. But before that, I sailed the South Pacific, and I met Bernard Montessier, first man to sail around the world without stopping. So the master of long distance sailing and his friends were my teachers when I was a teenager, and I got it just like that because he said you could go to sea and not think of the land and just be at sea. And so that was how the longest sea voyage in history was born, because I did the longest sea voyage in history on this boat. I went over 3 years without stopping or seeing land, without resupply. It was titled the Mars Ocean Odyssey. I also hold the record for the longest single-handed sailing voyage in history. I went 846 days without seeing another human. So I'm a natural-born mystic, and I've been a powerful yogi since I was a teenager. And that's how I did it. But I came here, this is the second time I've been here. I have a program called the Mars Ocean Analogs, where I train Mars aspiring astronauts at sea, because I've been into long duration space psychology since the 80s, and I'm the only man who knows what it's like to live for 3 years out of sight of land between the stars. And so for going to Mars, they have to have the knowledge that I have, and they're not even aware of it. And right now, the whole NASA psychology is completely backwards. They think isolation is bad and a lot of things like that. Whereas I knew that isolation was good for me. I'd already been learning how to do it, and it was an empowering experience. So I came here to start my Mars Analog Astronaut Training Program, and I've been here for almost a month, even before that, I decided I had to leave because I couldn't find anywhere here that would host me, because I need to be hosted. And with my 10-foot track, I couldn't even anchor, I couldn't be anywhere. This was a last resort for me to come here, and I'm having to pay. And then I immediately said, I'm leaving because I can't afford to pay that kind of money. So I looked at the Windy app, and there was nothing but storms out of the east, dead against me. I couldn't set off. I was trapped. So I had to bite the bullet and pay the money to be here. And in the meantime, I've got another crew of analog astronauts, 3 more, that are coming with me, and we're leaving here next Monday, direct to Palm Beach. And I'm from New York.
You're from New York?
So I'm going after Palm Beach up to New York in June. But it's not to say that I won't come back here, but I probably wouldn't sail back, because I have since then made connections and with people that know a bunch of SpaceX people, and they're telling me that it's the SpaceX headquarters in California is dealing with the human issues. But they may know about me or they may not, and it takes a lot of people, even courage, to even think about what I've done. Put it in your mind. I went over 3 years at sea without coming to shore. I stocked up on food, and that was how I lived, and I kept sailing this boat. And so,
oh my God, that's crazy.
yeah.
Mr. Reid, where were so before you came here, where were you at in this boat? Where was
I was in New York City. We left New York City December the 20th in 16-degree weather. But we did a trilogy of analogs to get here. And
can you explain for everybody, what does that mean, trilogy of analogs?
oh, that means, well, we titled it such as that, but we're doing Mars Ocean Analog. So an analog is training for something like going to space.
Okay.
And if you live in a geodesic dome in the desert or in Poland or on the Hawaii volcano, I could never understand how they could say they were learning about human behavior relevant for going to Mars, because it's not a life and death situation. It's just like camping out, and when you don't like it, you can leave. But when you go to sea, you have to accept that if you make a mistake, you're overboard, the boat is gone. It's a life and death situation on the boat, and that makes you act differently, and that makes the crew act differently together.
How long did that trip last from New York to here?
So I went
December,
from
you
New
said?
York to St. Thomas,
Oh.
and that lasted almost 3 weeks.
Oh.
And then from St. Thomas to Grand Cayman, and that was another 2 weeks. And from Grand Cayman to here, and that was I think 18 days or something.
I noticed the hull looks extremely heavy duty, man. What is that? What is the construction like? I mean, what is that made out of?
The boat is made out of steel and fiberglass. But I keep saying the ultimate long distance heavy weather sailboat, because the design of this hull is modeled after the American gaff rig fishing schooner, which is the most seaworthy boat for having giant waves break over it, and it can keep going.
Did you buy this, or did you have it built, or?
No, I designed and built it when I was 24
That's
years
what I
old.
thought. Yeah, that's what I thought. You said. Okay, that's amazing. So how did that happen? I mean, you just.
That's what I told you. I as a teenager, I met the greatest sailors in the world, and they filled my head full of wisdom and dreams. And
But how did you get to the point where you were skilled enough to build a boat or design a boat? You know what I mean? That's a whole different ball game.
Well, at that age, and I built surfboards through high school. My dad built some boats.
Where did you grow up surfing at? Was that?
Dad was in the Air Force, so we grew
Oh.
up traveling, but mostly North
So you were a board shaper at the time?
in high school.
Yeah. Wow.
So I learned that passing through Hawaii and with my Hawaiian friends.
Okay.
And my dad built some boats when I was a kid, so I learned about that. And then I built another boat before this. And so all that time I was reading and studying and looking at boats and different boat building techniques.
Amazing. But this is a big project. So how did you finance that at 24?
Smuggling pot.
Dude. Okay. All right.
Feature press, and the New York Times has written about it, so everyone knows. I can't hide it, and I'm proud of it anyway. Jimmy Buffett was my friend, and we were hanging out in the Caribbean with Jimmy Buffett way back in the early days. So it's all Jimmy Buffett, good style stuff, like he sang about in his songs, you know.
Where were you living at the time that you were kind of doing that career and?
In the Eastern Caribbean.
Oh.
Yeah, St. Bart's
Okay.
was the capital of it in those days.
So you built up some money and then said, I want to build
Yeah.
my boat. Okay.
Yeah, I had it in mind.
Oh my gosh. So I take it you're a fan of marijuana, or were?
Well, yes.
Yeah. Oh, so on the long voyages, like you say, for 3 years, how do you? Did you?
I actually didn't
How do you-
smoke that much.
Okay. Okay.
And I never have, because I've always been so active doing what I'm doing. I don't have time for that.
Sure.
And I don't want to slow down for
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
I don't want it to do anything that slows me down.
Okay.
Even though it has magical qualities that you can learn from and apply to your life. So in fact, during the longest sea voyage in history, I actually didn't hardly smoke anything.
So, but when you had this built, this is not something like you built by yourself. I'm
No,
assuming so.
I have a big family and brothers and cousins, and Granddad gave permission to live at the family beach house and do it. And Dad helped.
Oh, so it was like a
It
family
was a big
project.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But where do you even get like a steel hull like this? I mean,
I built it. I designed it. The first thing I did was build a plywood floor and paint it white and draw the design in it, and then build the frames and then set the frames up.
how long did that take from start to
A
finish?
year and a half
That's awesome.
to sail away.
Yeah.
With and have to start fixing things right away, modifying things right away, and none of the interior was in the boat.
Was the construction in the Caribbean, or?
No, the construction was in North Carolina,
Okay.
and later I got the tropical hardwoods. You can only see a few of things out there, but the inside is tropical hardwood paneling.
Amazing.
So,
How many bedrooms?
I guess she could sleep about 12 people, especially if you put doubles in the beds. It's not doubles, maybe 8 people, something like that.
Tell us about the geometric design that you have on
Oh,
the
this
paint
is
job.
Starship.
The starship.
Yeah, there's a big star up front,
Oh.
and the stars breaking up and all of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And you call it Anne, I
and
think.
it's my mom. Something. So this
Super
is
cool.
The Starship.
Amazing. Well, it definitely caught our eye. We were just cruising around, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey, look at that boat. Let's just go take a closer
Well,
look."
If you're ready to sail and you want to leave Monday, you can come with me.
Where are we going?
Palm Beach.
That's right, Palm Beach. Okay. How long do you expect that would take, more or less?
10 days to 20 days, depending on how much wind is against us.
And you said you have a crew already, huh?
I have, there's 4 of us right now. So the weather has been real bad from the east, and it's had me trapped here, so I couldn't go. And then next Monday, there's a break in the wind, it lightens up a little bit, and we can get out there. I'm not sure what the weather says after that, but we have to get going. We have to fight against the wind. I'm hoping that now the season is better and we won't have this kind of stormy wind that we've had recently. You don't notice it on the land as much, because I even asked another friend, yeah, it's windy, but you don't notice it. But here on the boat, it's just windy all the time. It blows, my hat is closed, and it's blowing directly from the east, then I can't get offshore. Because of SpaceX. I'm targeting SpaceX. It's the second time I've been here, but I made a few connections.
You did?
But I did realize that I don't want to try to base my program here. I wanted to do that. I couldn't do that because I couldn't find a host or a spot where I could tie off for free. And SpaceX is very close from the community. It took me a long time. In fact, one of the guys who is coming with me is applying to work in SpaceX. He's here to SpaceX and has a lot of connections. And we're going to work.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. I'll see what happens. I actually went to an event over there one night. And,
Okay.
but no one over there knew anywhere to go. And I even talked to some local people and I said, I have 10-foot draft. Where can I possibly tie off around here or anchor? And they said there's nowhere. I can't turn into that channel. I can't turn left. So it's just this little area here by the intercoastal waterway. And there isn't a little bay or a spot where I can tie up out of the way that I know of or that I've found. Maybe someone can show me something, but I haven't been able to find it, so I had to make a decision to go.
Oh, you mean like an open harbor area or something like that?
Well, most places in the world, there's a place you can anchor out of the way. Even
Yeah.
New York City.
Yep.
It might be a little bit of a commute to get in, but you can always find a place to anchor.
Yep.
And then I found a place in New York City next to a construction yard. He said, I can fit into those spots between those poles. And the owner said, yeah, you can tie up there. And I said, well, can I cut through your gates to get in and out? And he said, yes. So I have a really good free spot in New York City. But I've also had the nicest dock in front of the nicest restaurant. It depends on the situation.
Have you spent much time on the West Coast, so San
No,
Francisco
I
and?
have.
Oh, okay.
No, but I've sailed around the world nearly twice, but haven't gone up to the West Coast.
Oh, okay.
Made some friends and stuff like that. I never have sailed my boat up that way.
Tell us a story before we wrap it up.
Okay, when I was sailing around Cape Horn by myself, and I was in a great big storm, and I only had the storm jib up front. That's the second sail there that you see right up there near the front. And I was running downwind in the storm, and I could see by looking out the rogue waves, which the storm started from the northwest and rotated to the southwest. So where those waves cross, sometimes there's giant mountains of whitewater and waterfalls. That's a rogue wave. And I was in the galley cooking, and I held on when a wave hit the boat, because already waves had been hitting the boat and smothering the boat with whitewater, but she comes up like a duck. And this time, the wave hit the boat, and it kept going. And I lost what I was holding to while I was cooking. I had the pots wired on the stove.
Did you? I mean, that's it. It's
back-
impressive that you were cooking at the time.
I have to
You
cook.
weren't
I
that
have
worried.
to eat.
Well, but I'm saying there was a storm, so
I know how to cook.
you were.
I-
That's good.
I wired the pots on the stove so they won't go off. I have to eat my food. I'm energetic and I need to eat a lot of food.
I see.
And so I hit the wall and I got knocked out. But in that moment, you see, because they're old-fashioned wooden hatches and they were underwater, so the water squirted in, so cold Cape Horn water woke me up and doused me. And the first thing I did was turn the stove off and looked out through this window at forward, and I saw that this sail forward was shredded, and I had to take it down as soon as I could before the shreds wrapped around the cable. Then I'd have never gotten it down.
Now you said you at the time you only had one sail going. Which one did you have?
The one in the front.
Okay.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the very front of the boat, and it was shredded, and I knew I had to go out and take it down, so I put on my gear, but I was wet, and I went out and changed all of that out and got the boat going again. And when I came back, I tended to more things, but I looked on the ceiling, and right above the stove, the lentils and rice were stuck to the ceiling. And another spot where I grow my sprouts, the sprouts were hanging from an electrical wire right above. So that told me that the stuff didn't fall on the wall next to me. It fell on the ceiling, so the boat must have been 180 degrees upside down.
Oh my God.
And the boat righted herself, and I got her going and kept going.
How big estimate seas would you say were?
A lot of times they look like mountains, and
Yeah.
and they're really huge. And it's more like the very top of the wave that breaks over, and that's what caught the boat and dumped her and turned her.
So you believe it was probably capsized completely at some point, or did you like completely?
I don't know if I rolled all the way around
Okay.
or not, because I was kind of knocked out.
Yeah, yeah.
But I saw the food stuck to the ceiling above the stove, so I'm thinking, well, how did it get there
Yeah, sure.
if we weren't upside down?
Amazing. Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Reid. So tell us about where you learned how to be a shaman.
I was a natural-born mystic, which means I was always having visions and always seeing things and always seeing my body outside of me and looking at it. Say, our family would be driving down the highway, and I'd be 10 years old watching myself running.
So you mean like
through
an
the-
out-of-body experience kind of a
watching
thing?
myself run through the forest and the fields for hours at a time.
Did you talk to anybody
outside
about
of
that?
my body.
Did you like mention this to people like, hey, I'm seeing these things and?
You know, a bit, but it didn't matter to me. But then, as a teenager, I got introduced to yoga by some people who'd been to India, who were sailors, and the yoga opens you up to be more of that ability, and you start to develop that ability. But I was an artist, and I always knew that my paintings were foretelling my future, and that my paintings were helping me do what I wanted. I'd go, geez, my God, I just painted that.
What's an example of that? Where so you painted something and you realized that was a vision into the future? What's like something?
Well, I was at sea, and I painted these black rocks and white birds flying over them in the sunset. And then we arrived at New Zealand, and it was exactly that I saw.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's just an example
Yeah.
of that. But the figureheads, you want them to do their job and look after you and tell you if something's happened or keep things safe for you.
Now here-
so
is
I
that-
have experiences with them talking to me too.
Right at the very front of the boat, is that one of the figureheads?
Yeah, that's one of my figureheads.
Is that made out of metal, steel?
That one is made out of purple heart wood from Guyana.
Did you design that one?
Yeah.
Figure. Wow. What's the idea behind that design?
It's influenced by South Pacific Maori art, and it's somewhat of a sea serpent kind of horse, kind of mythological creature.
Yeah, it looks like a seahorse.
Yeah,
Is there another figurehead, or is that the only one?
I've had different ones. They rotate around.
Oh, okay,
Some
okay.
of them are inside now,
Okay,
and some of them,
okay.
like these, have gone to different places and been rotated around. Ahoy! Ahoy, Blaine! This is.